Hello Bloxes, my name is Jacket. And welcome to my show Late News with Jacket. The news is going to be about absolutely everything, cause I'm tired of doing specifics, Raffle Anyway, let's begin. Elephant walking $3 billion worth of F-35 fighter jets. After years of cost overruns and criticism, the U.S. military has started to deploy its stealth-enabled F-35 fighter jet. To communicate that message in no uncertain terms, the Air Force's 380th and 419th Fighter Wings carried out combat exercises meant to test the capabilities of their F-35s. The drill started off with an elephant walk that placed 36 of the jets, one is missing in this photo, in the runway all at once, worth $3 billion, at least at the current $90 million per airplane price. Apart from creating an intimidating photo, the Air Force wanted to confirm its ability to quickly mass a force against air and ground targets, while showing off the F-35A's lethality. Both are the first combat-ready fighter wings with the jet and need to be able to deploy anywhere in the world at the drop of a hat. As intimidating as the F-35s look on the ground, it's on another level to see them do a flibby, below. Launching at 20 to 40 second intervals, they flew the planes in multiple formations like flocks of incredibly violent geese, with all 36 airborne in just 11 minutes. We are ready to fight tonight, and exercising with multiple squadrons of F-35s can demonstrate our ability to defeat potential adversaries, wherever they may arise, exercise leader Major Caleb Guffman told the Standard Examiner. Leap into the next one. Oil plunges 7% to lowest level in more than a year. The latest wave of energy market selling comes amid escalating concerns about an increase in global supply and a slowdown in economic growth. OPEC and non-OPEC members meeting in Vienna on Deck 6 are expected to start curtailing output. The value of a barrel of oil has tumbled about 20% this month, adding to a 7-week streak of consecutive losses. Oil prices slumped on Friday to their lowest levels in more than a year, deepening a rapid 7-week sell-off that has plunged crude futures deep into a bear market. Friday's declines further ramp up the pressure in OPEC ahead of a much-anticipated meeting between the influential oil cartel and its allies in Vienna on Deck 6, when they are expected to announce that output will be curtailed. So far, the prospect of the Middle East-dominated group orchestrating a fresh round of supply cuts has done little to prop up crude futures. International benchmark Brent crude dropped $3.74, or 6%, to $58.86 by 12:23 p.m. The contract hit $58.41, its lowest level since October 26, 2017, earlier in the session. U.S. benchmark West Texas Intermediate crude fell $3.69, or 6.8%, to $50.94. WTI slid about 7% to $50.53, its weakest price since October 12, 2017 on Friday. WTI has now lost 34% of its value from its peak in October 3 to the trough on Friday. Brent has fallen as much as 32%. I have to say that the speed in which the oil market has declined has surprised me even, as OPEC and non-OPEC members discuss a production cut, said Andrew Lipow, president of Lipow Oil Associates. The market does not think it will be enough. The latest wave of energy market selling comes amid escalating concerns about an increase in global supply and a slowdown in economic growth. Saudi Energy Minister Khalid Al-Falih in Thursday said the kingdom's output this month would surpass October's production of 10.6 million barrels per day. That is near an all-time high but below the 10.7 million ppd guidance for October that Falih announced last month. Falih also said in October that November outpulled in, "I got it." But would hit 11 million ppd. Sources told Bloomberg News this week the Saudis are currently pumping a record 10.8 million to 10.9 million ppd. Falih on Thursday said demand will be lower in January and the kingdom will respond to weaker consumption. The minister has already warned Saudi oil shipments will fall by 500,000 ppd in December. Heat, let's do another one. Dimming the sun, the answer to global warming. Scientists are proposing an ingenious but as yet unproven way to tackle climate change, spraying sun-dimming chemicals into the Earth's atmosphere. The research by scientists at Harvard and Yale universities, published in the journal Environmental Research Letters, proposes using a technique known as stratospheric aerosol injection, which they say could cut the rate of global warming in half. The technique would involve spraying large amounts of sulfate particles into the Earth's lower stratosphere at altitudes as high as 12 miles. The scientists propose delivering the sulfates with specially designed high-altitude aircraft, balloons or large naval-style guns. Stratospheric aerosol injection would involve spraying sulfate particles into the Earth's stratosphere at altitudes as high as 12 miles. Despite the technology being undeveloped and with no existing aircraft suitable for adaptation, the researchers say that developing a new, purpose-built tanker with substantial payload capabilities would neither be technologically difficult nor prohibitively expensive. They estimate the total cost of launching a hypothetical system in 15 years' time at around $3.5 billion, with running costs of $2.25 billion a year over a 15-year period. The report does, however, acknowledge that the technique is purely hypothetical. We make no judgment about the desirability of, say, the report states. We simply show that a hypothetical deployment program commencing 15 years hence, while both highly uncertain and ambitious, would indeed be technically possible from an engineering perspective. It would also be remarkably inexpensive. The researchers also acknowledged potential risks. Coordination between multiple countries in both hemispheres would be required, and stratospheric aerosol injection techniques could jeopardize crop yields, lead to droughts or cause extreme weather. The proposals also don't address the issue of rising greenhouse gas emissions, which are a leading cause of global warming. And despite the conviction of the report's authors, other experts were skeptical. From the point of view of climate economics, solar radiation management is still a much worse solution than greenhouse gas emissions, more costly and much more risky over the long run, said Philippe Thalmann of the École Polytechnique Fédérale de Lausanne, an expert in the economics of climate change. David Archer of the Department of Geophysical Science at the University of Chicago said, "The problem with engineering climate in this way is that it's only a temporary band-aid covering a problem that will persist essentially forever, actually hundreds of thousands of years for fossil fuel CO2 to finally go away naturally. It will be tempting to continue to procrastinate on cleaning up our energy system, but we'd be leaving the planet in a form of life support. If a future generation failed to pay their climate bill, they would get all of our warming all at once. Fuck me, that is a lot to fucking read. Lego next one, BLS. Overstock surges 26%, after CEO says it will sell retail business by February to focus on crypto. After dabbling in blockchain with various subsidiaries, the 2-decade-old e-commerce business is going all in the technology by early next year. CEO Patrick Byrne plans to sell the retail arm of Overstock by February, the Wall Street Journal reports. "We think we've got cold fusion in the blockchain side," he says. Overstock plans to sell its decades-old retail business in the next few months to make way for a full-blown bet on blockchain. The previously announced sale plans could go through as soon as February, the company's CEO told the Wall Street Journal in a report published Friday. Overstock founder and CEO Patrick Byrne is an ardent believer in the technology that underpins Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies and declined to name any of the potential buyers. Shares of Overstock surged 26% Friday, but the stock is down 66% this year. Byrne founded Overstock in 1999 to sell goods like furniture and jewelry in the internet. He's now betting the future of that brand in multiple blockchain startups through its fully owned subsidiary called Medici Ventures. The Salt Lake City-based company has invested $175 million in Medici, which has been burning money since its 2014 inception. It lost $39 million in the first 3 quarters of the year, and roughly $22 million last year, according to the company's public filings. Overstock itself is in the red, with a net loss of $163 million in the first 3 quarters of this year. One of its best-known startups, tZERO, a trading system that hasn't launched commercially, is also burning money. "I don't care whether tZERO is losing $2 million a month," Byrne told the Journal. "We think we've got cold fusion in the blockchain side. Medici houses startups that go well beyond the scope of just cryptocurrencies. One company runs blockchain-based voting through a smartphone app, while another is working on digital property rights in Rwanda." While Byrne told investors in a September shareholder letter that Overstock does not have significant holdings of Bitcoin, the share price moves have been tightly correlated. During the cryptocurrency's rise to nearly $20,000 last year, Overstock shares surged more than 400% from July through the end of 2018. After trading above $80 in January, the stock is down to just above $21 as of Friday afternoon. Bitcoin itself lost trading above $4,200 on Friday, down 78% since its high reached in December 2017. Multiple Wall Street CEOs have denounced Bitcoin as a scam or bubble, while Berkshire Hathaway's Warren Buffett famously likened it to rat poison. But its underlying technology is more widely accepted among public companies. IBM, J.P. Morgan, Deloitte, Amazon and Facebook are among those implementing the technology in some way. Still, skeptics abound in the blockchain side. Global economist Nouriel Roubini, one of the few who predicted the 2008 financial crisis, recently called the technology the most overhyped and least useful technology in human history. Let's go to the another one. NASA will land inside on Mars with cunning and lots of cork. There's really no way to rehearse landing on Mars. You can simulate it, sure, but the most valuable lessons are learned during actual attempts. When things go poorly, those lessons are also the most expensive. The fact is, most missions to Mars don't make it, though NASA has a better track record than most. The agency has executed 7 successful touchdowns in the Red Planet. In Monday, November 26th, it will attempt its 8th, when it endeavors to land the $830 million InSight spacecraft in Elysium Planitia, a vast plain just north of the Martian equator. If NASA is successful, InSight, short for Interior Exploration using Seismic Investigations, Geodesy, and Heat Transport, will be the first mission to investigate Mars' deep interior with thermal probes and seismometry, an approach scientists think will address questions about the red planet's formation and composition. But first, the spacecraft must land. To do so, it will have to endure an atmospheric entry multiple times the speed of sound, weather violent sandstorms, and avoid being crushed by its own jettisoned equipment. Getting to Mars is hard, but NASA engineers consider entry, descent, and landing in the 7-minute period in which mission planners are helpless to intervene, due to the tremendous distance between Mars and Earth and the riskiest sequence in the entire mission. Here's how NASA plans to pull it off. Let's keep rolling my plexipluxes. Discovery of ancient elephant-sized herbivore called startling. Berlin, a giant, plant-eating creature with a beak-like mouth and reptilian features may have roamed the Earth during the late Triassic period more than 200 million years ago, scientists said. In a paper published Thursday by the journal Science, Polish researchers claim their find overturns the notion that the only giant plant-eaters at the time were dinosaurs. The elephant-sized creature, known as Lasauische Bogini after a village in southern Poland where its remains were found, belonged to the same evolutionary branch as mammals. Similar fossils from so-called descendants have been found elsewhere, but they were dated to be from an earlier period, before a series of natural disasters wiped out most species on Earth. We used to think that after the end-Permian extinction, mammals and their relatives retreated to the shadows, while dinosaurs rose up and grew to huge sizes, said Grzegorz Niedzwiecki, a paleontologist at Uppsala University in Sweden who co-authored the paper. The discovery of giant descendants living at the same time as sauropods, a branch of the dinosaur family that later produced the iconic long-necked Diplodocus, suggests environmental factors in the late Triassic period may have driven the evolution of gigantism, the researchers said. Christian Kammerer, a descendant specialist at the North Carolina Museum of Natural Sciences not involved in the find, said the size of Lasauisch was startling. Large descendants have been known before in both the Permian and the Triassic, but never at this scale, he said. Kammerer said that, while descendants and dinosaurs existed at the same time, there's no evidence yet that they lived in the same habitats. He also questioned the study's conclusions about Lasauisch's posture. However, overall I think this is a very intriguing and important paper, and shows us that there is still a lot left to learn about early mammal relatives in the Triassic, said Kammerer. Last year, a study proclaimed a newly named species the heavyweight champion of all dinosaurs. At 76 tons, the plant-eating behemoth was as heavy as a space shuttle. Oh my god, my head hurts. There is a lot to fucking read. Jesus. Okay, let's continue Raffle. Scientists discover a tiny hidden region in the brain that is unique to humans and could help cure Parkinson's and motor neuron disease. For 30 years, researchers suspected this region existed but could not see it. Scientists found the region thanks to better staining and imaging techniques. The discovery of the region may help researchers explore cures for diseases. By Phoebe Weston for Mail Online. Scientists have found a tiny new region of the brain that only humans have, and they believe it could be what makes our species unique. Researchers say the incredible find could help find a treatment for Parkinson's and motor neuron disease. For 30 years scientists, who have likened the discovery to finding a new star, suspected this region existed but were unable to see it. Here's some pictures, various. Damn. That looks weird, as fuck. Let me check, if that's all of the news. Yep, it is. Alright, goodbye faggots, I gotta go do your mom's swah swah swah.